Sam Cooke, often referred to as the King of Soul, left an indelible mark on the music industry with his talent, charisma, and entrepreneurial spirit. Among the pivotal figures in his career was Klein, a controversial business manager and music industry executive whose involvement with Cooke had profound implications for the singer's legacy. Klein was a savvy, aggressive businessman known for managing prominent artists like the Rolling Stones and later the Beatles. His reputation was built on his ability to negotiate favorable contracts for his clients, often using sharp and unconventional tactics. Klein's methods, though effective in maximizing profit, were frequently criticized for being exploitative. This dual reputation as a financial genius and a controversial figure made him a polarizing presence in the music industry. Klein's dealings with Sam Cooke were just the beginning of his controversial career as a music business manager. While Klein earned a reputation as a skilled negotiator who could secure record-breaking deals for his clients, his aggressive tactics and alleged exploitative practices left a trail of fractured relationships with several major artists, including the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. Klein's involvement with the Beatles is one of the most infamous chapters in his career. After the death of their longtime manager Brian Epstein in 1967, the Beatles struggled to manage their business affairs. By early 1969, the band was in disarray, and financial issues at Apple Corps, their multimedia company, added to the tensions. Klein entered the picture at the suggestion of John Lennon, who admired Klein's ability to negotiate high-value contracts. Klein quickly ingratiated himself with Lennon and Yoko Ono, promising to straighten out the Beatles' finances and secure better royalties. However, his entrance caused immediate division within the band. Paul McCartney's opposition. McCartney distrusted Klein from the start, preferring the management of his in-laws, Lee and John Eastman. McCartney viewed Klein as manipulative and feared Klein would prioritize his own profits over the band's interests. The other three Beatles, Lennon, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr, sided with Klein, creating a rift that further fractured the group. Klein's influence. Klein renegotiated the Beatles' contract with EMI, increasing their royalty rate significantly. However, his tenure as their manager coincided with the band's breakup in 1970, and McCartney's distrust of Klein was a contributing factor to the split. Legal fallout. After the Beatles disbanded, Klein's management of their finances became a source of legal battles. McCartney sued the other three members in an effort to dissolve their business partnership, partly to sever ties with Klein. By 1973, the remaining Beatles also turned against Klein, accusing him of mismanaging funds and taking excessive commissions. Klein was eventually dismissed, but the damage to the band's relationships was irreparable. Before managing the Beatles, Klein worked with the Rolling Stones, and his dealings with them were similarly fraught. Early success. Klein took over the Stones' management in the mid-1960s, helping them renegotiate their contract with Decca Records. He also secured ownership of the rights to their early catalog and publishing through his company, ABKCO Records. Controversy. While Klein's renegotiation efforts initially benefited the Stones, they later realized that Klein had retained ownership of their pre-1971 recordings and publishing rights. This became a source of bitterness as the band lost control over much of their early work. Mick Jagger and Keith Richards expressed regret over trusting Klein, and the band eventually parted ways with him. Legal disputes. In the 1970s, the Stones sued Klein over royalties and control of their catalog, marking the end of their association. Despite their legal battles, ABKCO continues to profit from the Stones' early recordings to this day. Cooke was not just a groundbreaking artist, he was also a pioneer in the music business. In the early 1960s, he founded SAR Records and Kags Music Publishing, making him one of the first black artists to own his master recordings and publishing rights. Cooke's ambition was to gain creative and financial control over his music, setting a precedent for other artists to follow. However, managing the business side of his career while creating music proved challenging. Enter Klein. Cooke was introduced to Klein in the early 1960s, possibly through industry connections who recognized Cooke's growing frustrations with traditional record labels and the complexities of managing his empire. Klein, with his reputation for securing lucrative deals, seemed like the perfect ally to help Cooke achieve his financial and creative goals. Klein became Cooke's business manager around 1963. He quickly went to work renegotiating Cooke's contract with RCA Records, one of the largest record labels at the time. In an unprecedented move, Klein secured a deal that not only increased Cooke's royalty rate, but also granted Cooke ownership of his future master recordings. This was revolutionary in an era when artists, particularly black artists, were often exploited and denied such rights. Cooke's contract with RCA became one of the most artist-friendly deals in the industry at that time. The setup allowed Cooke to manage his finances more effectively and positioned him as a powerful, independent force in the music industry. One of the most significant moves in their partnership was the creation of Tracy Lynn, named after Cooke's daughter. This publishing company was designed to give Cooke ownership over his music catalog, a rare achievement for artists at the time. Under Klein's guidance, Cooke transferred his recording contract from RCA Victor to Tracy Lynn, with RCA acting as the distributor. This move gave Cooke unprecedented control over his recordings and publishing rights, allowing him to collect royalties directly. While this arrangement seemed revolutionary, it also tied Cooke's business interests closely to Klein, retained significant power over Tracy Lynn's operations. Klein's firm, ABKCO Records, is the administrative arm managing the financial side of the company, giving Klein control over Cooke's earnings and assets. While Klein's business acumen brought financial benefits to Cooke, their relationship was not without controversy. Critics argue that Klein's control over Cooke's finances may have been overly aggressive, potentially sidelining Cooke in critical decisions about his own money and legacy. There are also allegations that Klein may have exploited Cooke's trust, gaining disproportionate control over Cooke's assets. Cooke was a fiercely independent artist who valued control over his music and business dealings. He prided himself on being one of the few black artists to own his master recordings and manage his publishing rights. However, as Klein gained more influence over Cooke's business affairs, Cooke reportedly felt that Klein's aggressive tactics and increasing control were at odds with his own vision for his career. Cooke was known to confide in close friends and associates that he felt Klein was too domineering and that his financial arrangements were becoming opaque. There were whispers that Klein was taking a larger cut of Cooke's earnings than initially agreed upon, and Cooke began to question whether Klein was truly acting in his best interests. As 1964 progressed, Cooke reportedly expressed a desire to sever ties with Klein. Friends and family later recounted that Cooke had planned to restructure his business dealings and regain full control of his finances. Firing Klein was seen as a critical step in this process. Cooke wanted to return to his original vision of running his enterprises independently, free from outside influence. One of the key reasons for Cooke's dissatisfaction with Klein was Tracy Lynn, the holding company Klein had established for Cooke. While it was intended to centralize Cooke's business interests, it also gave Klein significant control over Cooke's assets. By late 1964, Cooke was reportedly investigating the specifics of Klein's involvement in Tracy Lynn, raising concerns that Klein might have manipulated the arrangement to his advantage. The tragic and untimely death of Sam Cooke in December 1964 has long been surrounded by mystery, rumors, and questions. At the center of this intrigue lies Alan Klein, Cooke's business manager, whose involvement in the singer's career and estate has fueled speculation about foul play. Klein's control over Sam Cooke's career. By 1963, Alan Klein had positioned himself as a powerful figure in Sam Cooke's life. Klein managed Cooke's finances and oversaw his groundbreaking Tracy Lynn, which gave Cooke ownership of his music catalog. This arrangement was revolutionary for its time, especially for a black artist, but it also gave Klein substantial control over Cooke's business operations. Cooke, known for his business acumen, began to distrust Klein in the months leading up to his death. Reports suggest that Cooke was planning to sever ties with Klein, reclaim full control of his music catalog, and possibly audit Klein's management of his finances. This potential fallout between Cooke and Klein raised suspicions about the circumstances surrounding the singer's death. The night of Cooke's death, Sam Cooke was fatally shot on December 11, 1964, at the Hacienda Motel in Los Angeles under highly contentious circumstances. Bertha Franklin, the motel manager, claimed she shot Cooke in self-defense after he allegedly forced his way into her office. The official story stated that Cooke had been chasing a woman, Elisa Boyer, who had allegedly stolen his clothes and money. However, several witnesses later contradicted the official narrative. Some claimed to have seen large men and prostitutes leaving Cooke's room before the police arrived. This detail, while never substantiated, has led many to believe that Cooke's death was part of a setup orchestrated by those who stood to gain from his demise. The role of Alan Klein. In the aftermath of Cooke's death, Alan Klein assumed control over the singer's estate as the administrator of Tracy Launted and the rights to Cooke's music catalog. This placed Klein in a position to profit immensely from Cooke's posthumous success. Klein's dominance over the estate sparked suspicions, especially given Cooke's alleged plans to terminate their business relationship. Critics have pointed out that Klein's reputation for ruthless business tactics and his strained relationship with Cooke make him a figure of interest in theories surrounding the singer's death. While no direct evidence links Klein to a conspiracy, his financial gain and the timing of Cooke's death have raised eyebrows among fans, historians, and Cooke's family. Conflicting testimonies and missing evidence. Several elements of the official account of Cooke's death remain unresolved. Witness statements. Reports of unidentified individuals leaving Cooke's room contradict the police's findings, suggesting possible foul play. Lisa Boyer's role. Boyer, who claimed Cooke tried to assault her, had a history of arrests related to prostitution. Her testimony was pivotal in framing Cooke's actions that night, but her credibility has been questioned. Lack of investigation. The investigation into Cooke's death was rushed, with little effort to explore alternative theories or question the motives of those involved. Lingering questions. Was Sam Cooke's death the result of a robbery gone wrong, or was it part of a larger scheme to silence a powerful and independent artist? Did Alan Klein or individuals connected to him play a role in orchestrating the events of that night? These questions remain unanswered, leaving Cooke's death as one of the music industry's greatest mysteries.